Does After the Hunt pass the Bechdel test?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Our two lead characters are both women, and they are entangled with each other in what should be an intriguing push and pull, but instead it's just like a formulaic, unserious
Yeah.
push and pull.
Yeah.
It should be like a real tussle of minds and psychologies and horniness and lust and intimidation and intrigue. And instead it's just like silly talking points being thrown back and forth.
And again, this is what Hedda gave us, which is another reason why I liked it. Hedda gave us exactly that. We see women engaging in power play and having an undercurrent of sexual attraction. I didn't get any of that here. Unfortunately, I do put that at the feet of Ayoa Debri's performance.
Do you think there's a world where Luca would have directed that? Because I'm yet to see Luca do that once in any of his films between two women.
Yeah, so I did criticize him for that I suspect he's part of the problem here as well.
Yeah, like I've seen Luca direct a woman into a good performance before, but I don't know if I've seen him consistently direct two women in a storyline with each other, if that makes sense.
I think the way how the movie presents Alma, it's almost as if she's very narcissistic and she's just very desperate for sexual attention from anyone. So I don't even get any vibe that she's a bisexual woman or anything like that. I think she just likes having people around her that are infatuated with her. And I think the movie even explicitly says this at times as well. So that's the reason why I think it's actually on Ayo Edebiri to be the one driving that sexual energy. And she didn't do any of it. Whether it's her fault or whether it's Luca Guadagnino's fault, it just wasn't there.
Which actress do you think would have nailed that better?
We have issues about her performances, but that's a Tessa Thompson thing.
Okay.
That's her back. That is what she is good at doing.
Okay.
Who do you think?
I'm actually weirdly thinking about another woman that Luca has directed before, Taylor Russell. Even though I wasn't obsessed with her performance in Bones and All, I do think she has a natural, like, almost creepy sensuality to how she performs. That could have actually been intriguing.
Yeah.
I also think about, I guess this character needs to be a black woman, though. I was about to mention some names, but those were white girls. I don't think it works if it's a white girl. But for the Bechdel test, it does pass. I can't completely write this film off. I actually never questioned that Julia Roberts believed that he assaulted Maggie. I felt like the performance Julia Roberts is giving as Alma is one of a person that actually believes he did sexually assault her. Now, she thinks Maggie is a scammer, but she also believes that he did it. Because even in the conversation she had with Hank, she wasn't really giving him an inch when he would try and, cloak himself in innocence, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but then let's not forget that she shoves her tongue down his throat again.
Oh, no, but she's
shortly
a
mess. After that.
She's a mess. She's a mess.
I believe she believed Maggie for the majority of the movie. I do think there were short periods where she was just like, I'm not sure, though. She's ultimately a very self-serving person. She doesn't really care about anyone else apart from herself. And I did enjoy seeing that. And I enjoyed seeing Julia Roberts perform that role. A final comment from me. What I found interesting on the gender aspect is that for about 80% of this movie, we don't really see any traditionally femme-presenting women. All of the women are dressed in this very specific suited style, which again, I did enjoy actually. And I was wondering, like, for that first 80%, I don't think I saw a single woman in a dress, a single woman in a skirt. And I'm not saying that as a derogatory thing. I just thought it was an interesting observation. And I don't really know how that would have added to the storyline, but it was something interesting to note.
Again, one thing I continue to give this movie, it has a very clear style signature in terms of how it aesthetically presents the physical characters and the spaces they live in a way that feels in a world of its own. And that's one thing I always give Luca all of his movies. Even with all my issues with queer, I felt like every little stitch and every little frame and every little room that film had, if you just showed me a picture of it in isolation, I'll be like, oh, that's from that movie. Similarly, if you showed me a character dressed up like these women from this film, I'll be like, those look like the women from After the Hunt. Like, he tends to really nail having a clear visual signature for each of his films, and it's not repetitive either, which is actually quite impressive for someone as prolific as him. I mean, he's released 3 movies in the last 18, 20 months. Maybe he needs to reduce it a bit. Maybe that's part of the problem, because none of the 3 of them did I love.
Now that I think about it, I do think it was deliberate to have basically no dresses for the majority of the movie. The reason why is because when we finally see Maggie turning up very femme presenting, wig done, hair done, dress, boots, leather jacket, it really drives home what Alma was saying before, that Maggie was just pretending to be someone she wasn't in order to get close to her. And it did work for me, that reveal, but again, apart from that, that final scene was ridiculous.
The final confrontation, not the very final scene, but the confrontation on campus between Maggie and Alma, where Alma calls her out that you're trying to look like me, and Maggie is literally wearing the same white trousers and she's tucked in her top in the same way and
Mm,
the belt. I found that visually funny. I was
mm.
amused by that because I had already started wondering that why is Ayo Debure walking around looking like this? And so that was funny.
This reminds me of one other key aspect about the cinematography and the filmmaking here, which is the focus on hands. So in the beginning, I thought it was just to focus in on who's married versus who's not married. But I realized towards the end of the movie, I think there's another access to it. So I saw someone point out that in the scene, I think it's in that scene actually, just before they have the massive confrontation, the camera zooms in on both of their hands and we see that Maggie has a black nail varnish just like Alma. So I don't know. I guess they were making a point that, I don't know, was she ramping up her infatuation with Alma? I don't know. I found it interesting.
Hmm. I think, like all Guadagnino films, this is a film that, like, whilst I'm not rushing to rewatch it, when it's out on VOD and streaming, I might go back to it to kind of like zoom in on certain choices again to try and like see if I think there's certain kind of intentionality to some elements of the shots. I don't think if the visual content of the film feels mundane or meaningless. Just like I
Okay.
don't think the script is necessarily meaningless either, but there's something about when you put all the elements together, including the directing, including some of the performance choices, and especially that ending, that it all just kind of like
Yeah.
unfortunately reveals itself to be flimsy.
Yeah, right. That's the perfect word for this movie. Flimsy.